There are many common themes throughout historical American literature. In the book The Tipping Point by experienced journalist Malcolm Gladwell, he explains that one dramatic moment in an epidemic when everything can change all at once is called the tipping point. Page 9. There are many factors that affect the tipping point, and it can be a product, idea, or even a person. In The Crucible, MLK's I Have a Dream speech, On the Rainy River, and The Great Gatsby, there is a crucial turning point when the main focus of each of these epidemics tip.
In The Crucible, by Arthur Miller, the tipping point is when Abigail Williams and her friends begin accusing many seemingly innocent citizens of witchcraft. The girls were trying to downplay the severity of their actions in the woods, so they lied and said the devil had taken over inside of them. The thought that Satan and witchcraft were taking over the small, religion-based Massachusetts Bay was terrifying to the citizens who lived there. This was the tipping point because it had become an epidemic. Mary Warren, one of Abby's friends who earlier admitted to lying, proclaims, "No, I love God. I go your way no more. I love God. I bless God. Abby, Abby, I'll never hurt you more." Act 3. She proclaimed this in fear that Abby would accuse her of being a witch and she would be executed. Mary went back to accusing righteous people until it was proved that the girls were lying.
Dr. Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech in 1963. At the time, African American people were still fighting for basic rights and freedoms. MLK's speech was the tipping point in the civil rights movement because people from many different walks of life, white and black, came together for one reason: equality. A significant paragraph from MLK's speech is when he alludes to the song My Country 'Tis of Thee.
This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country 'tis of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
After Martin Luther King gave his powerful speech, the civil rights movement was never the same. This speech went down as one of the most famous in American history.
In the short story On the Rainy River, Tim was a young man preparing for graduate school when he got a draft notice. Instead of going to graduate school, he was required to fight in the Vietnam War. As many young men would be, Tim was scared. He didn't agree with the war, and he certainly did not want to fight in it. The tipping point in On the Rainy River is when Elroy took Tim fishing near the border of Canada, where Tim was planning on escaping to. 20 yards. I could have done it. I could have jumped and started swimming for my life. Inside me, in my chest, I felt a terrible squeezing pressure. O'Brien, 637. This is Tim's tipping point because he finally came to realization that he did not want to abandon his life, his family, his country. He knew that instead of fleeing to Canada, he should fight in the war.
In Fitzgerald's novel, The Great Gatsby, the main character, Jay, is in love with Daisy Buchanan. He and Daisy met many years earlier and were together until he had to fight in the war. When he meets Daisy again, she is married to Tom Buchanan. Tom treats Daisy poorly, and Gatsby eventually tips. He keeps his composure throughout the story until this moment. This is Mrs. Overbeck's favorite part of the movie.
Say or steal or dream up. You gotta chase that. A girl like this. You shut up! Shut up! You shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
He gets up and screams at Tom. "I've got something to tell you, old sport. She never loved you, do you hear? She only married you because I was poor and she was tired of waiting for me." Fitzgerald 130. He repeats that Daisy never loved him over and over again. This was Gatsby's tipping point because he finally lost control. This causes problems later on in the novel as well.
In conclusion, all of these texts have a tipping point, as well as many other historical and fictional texts. In The Crucible, the tipping point is when Abigail Williams and her group of followers start to accuse people of witchcraft. MLK's I Have a Dream speech was the tipping point of the civil rights movement, because it was never the same again. On the Rainy River tipped when Tim reached a realization that he didn't want to abandon his life and his country. In The Great Gatsby, Jay tips when he loses control and starts yelling at Tom. These are only a few of the many examples of historical events or fictional texts that have a tipping point.
Where Tim had planned... Okay, I'm literally an idiot. Okay, the tipping point and on... Whoop!